I think
hmm
so. Maya, it's really great to have you on here on this podcast. Thanks for coming on. And I think a lot of people will be very interested in your story and your journey and things that you're doing just now. So, Maya, you're obviously a fashion model and an actress. You're also like a UK top model winner, 2022, 23. You're also British beauty queen. And can you actually tell the audience about yourself, who you are and what you do?
Yeah, sure. Firstly, thank you so much for having me as well. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. Been looking forward to this the whole day. You have made me sound way too good. Yes, I am a fashion model. I'm also an actress, mainly for TV and film. I've participated in beauty pageants and I've won a couple, so I guess that makes me a beauty queen as well. Alongside that, I'm also a businesswoman, an entrepreneur, I guess. So I have my own tutoring company where it focuses on private education, mainly for disadvantaged children. And I'm also just an entertaining individual. So an entertainer, comedian, you name it.
You
You name
definitely
it,
are.
I got it.
That's great. So let me see. One of the questions I had for you was, um, so can you kind of go? I mean, it looks like you had a fashion shoot today that you really enjoyed. Can you tell me about that? You know, what was different about that? Why was this one of your favorite shoots compared to all the other fashion shoots?
Oh, that's a really good question. You're so good at this. So yeah, I did a fashion shoot today, and the reason why it was so different from the others is because of the vibe. And by vibe, I mean that it was just a very positive environment, very good energy, good people, very polite, good mannered team. And that makes a big difference. A lot of people don't really think about that side of shoots, but at the end of the day, it's not just the photographer you're working with the entire team, and having really uplifting people there is so important, and it makes for better pictures. And they also had a table of food, which if you work in the fashion industry, that is a blessing. Just to have food available, you're just like, thank God.
What's your
So
favorite?
that
Is it like pizza or like what kind of food do you like when you're doing these shoots?
so I like any food being available at any fashion project. That's sometimes too much to ask for sometimes, but what they had was just nibbles. I'm okay with snacks. So crisps, biscuits, tea, coffee. I really love my hot drinks. Coffee is a must because you need the caffeine to keep the energy up. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, sounds good. Um, so can you kind of describe your job? Like, would you say it was a fun job? Is it quite exhausting? Does it require a lot of travel? What's the pros of cons of fashion modeling or even being a TV actress, I guess?
so I'll start with fashion modeling because modeling and acting, even though there's a crossover, they're very different industries, very, very different industries. So just focusing on fashion modeling for now, I would say the pros are it's dynamic, it's a new thing every single day, different people. It's exciting just because you're in that creative space. So you're creating different moods, different themes, different artwork through photography or video, depending on what kind of modeling you're doing. And yeah, it's just very good for creative individuals. I consider myself to be that. And did you want the cons?
Yes, please go into the bad stuff actually, because it seems
Oh
in
no.
appearance it's really amazing, but then I guess there's also the bad stuff people talk about.
And this is where Mayya gets cancelled and you'll never see her again on Instagram. Just like she reveals too much. So okay, let's see. I'd say the cons are not like the food situation, not enough sustenance. Food could be considered a basic human need, but maybe I'm being a little fussy, a little overprivileged,
Not
perhaps.
in the fashion world. No food, just water.
Just water, just water. So that's number one. Another thing is obviously the let me say that again. So another con is one of our job descriptions as a model and maybe perceptions of being of I'm getting you're gonna cut this out, right?
I can cut it out, yeah, if you don't want.
Okay, let me try. I'm just trying to articulate this properly. Um, okay. So another con is that uh people may perceive models as being clothing racks or hangers, just like an object that is used to showcase clothes. And people that hold that perception sometimes forget that we are human beings with feelings and we have a voice. So obviously that's a very deep issue, but just to touch on it gently, it can be slightly objectifying sometimes.
Yes, I understand that. Um, so what got you into the modeling and how long have you been doing it for?
So I've been doing it on and off since I was 20 years old. I actually got scouted whilst I was on a university campus, which is such a flex. It's really cool to say. But the brand that scouted me actually didn't end up signing me because I had no knowledge about the fashion industry at the time. Now I do through a lot of struggle, and I'm proud to say that I did it without any guidance. So that's something I'm really proud to say. So yeah, 10 years on and off, and yeah.
Nice. What university did you go to? What did you study?
I went to Queen Mary and I studied mathematics.
That's nice. You know,
I'm a maths nerd.
there's this weird stereotype that Asians are very good at maths, and I was actually really good at maths myself, and I won the prize for maths in my advanced hires. And then my brother won
Okay,
it the year before, and then another Asian girl won it the day before. It's so weird,
amazing.
but
And we totally fed into that stereotype
yeah,
because we're both
actually,
amazing at maths.
it's crazy. Like people tell you're good at something, you actually become good at it, right? It's just weird. Um,
Yeah. So yeah, I did bachelor's in pure mathematics.
and that's amazing. It's very smart actually, because a lot of models maybe don't, people might think that they don't have degrees or, go to university, but, obviously you are very intelligent and
Thank you so
yeah,
much.
that's amazing. So it's the perception is quite, yeah, people have different perceptions and it's very good, very nice to hear that from you. Um, so can you tell maybe a little bit about your upbringing? How that was. Is your family okay with you modeling? Did they want you to be a maths professor or something like that?
Well, I could so easily get my mum into this room and she would have a great time answering that question. I bet you. But yeah, so the way I was raised was very conservative, very traditional, um, academic orientated. So very, we were kind of expected to be very studious and intelligent. It wasn't really an option. And so I guess those expectations kind of rubbed off on me because I was a complete nerd growing up. I was just like, it was either reading my books, doing my homework, focusing on school, and then just coming home to sleep. And my plan was to become a professor
Oh,
or
really?
an accountant or a doctor. Well, not a doctor, but more
Doctor of
so either
maths, doctor of
doctor of
mathematics. Yeah.
exactly. So either I guess professionally, either an accountant or an investment banker. And it's so funny seeing people's reactions whenever I
Yeah.
say that because they're like, but you're a model now. It's nothing to do with anything. What happened? And I'm like, so much happened. You don't want to, where do I start?
Yeah. But are you okay with the path that you have chosen and what the path you eventually went through?
Well, yeah, apparently even my stand is like sulking now. It's just that it got such a heavy topic. It was like no more.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking.
Okay.
Um, yeah, no, I'm really, really happy with the path that I've chosen. I've really thought about my decisions before making them, and it's something I'm really passionate about. I'm also still really passionate about maths, and some people don't know this, but sometimes when I get overwhelmed, I do maths puzzles to relax.
Oh, Sudoku. Sudoku?
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
Sudoku and just like maths problems. I just do them and it helps me relax. It's like the weirdest thing ever.
No, you can get
Um,
lost in it, right? And yeah, it's quite relaxing. I can definitely see that. I mean, I used to do Sudoku as well.
it's amazing, great fun. But yeah, no, I love it. I think that you have to always do what you're passionate about.
Absolutely. And so we recently had a charity event, and it's when you posted a story and you said that you took quite a long time to get ready for this. Um, can you say how long it took you to get ready for that event? And you look amazing, by the way, but no,
Thank you. I would hope so after 2 hours. I would
2 hours.
hope
That's
so.
not that bad. That's not that bad, actually.
Oh, you don't think so?
Not really. My girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, was way longer than that. But
Oh, wow.
what do you think? What do you think? What would you say to guys who think that their girlfriend or their wife, they take a really long time to get ready? Is it a valid thing to be mad at them for or frustrated for?
Hmm. I would say it depends on where you're going. So if you're just going to, I don't know, your local calf, then no, you shouldn't be taking any more than like 10 minutes, you know.
Makes
But if
sense.
you're going exactly, but if you're going to maybe like a red carpet event, which is what the charity event was, then you know, you got to give them a bit of leeway because you've got the hair, makeup, gown, and you know, especially with photographers there, you want to
Yeah.
make sure you look perfect. I
Yeah.
love that it made you laugh though. When you when you saw my post, you were just like, lol.
No, I was surprised because I thought you literally took you 10 minutes. I thought you just woke up like that and you just got there. But then your post was obviously quite reveal. It was quite revealing the truth. Like it took me 2 hours. And yeah. So I think a lot of people would have thought that as well, actually. But
What,
you
that it took
seem
me 10 minutes?
no, I
Because
don't
I
think people would take that long. I'm pretty sure most people would not think it takes that long. Because you're like a model, like you just wake up, like you're kind of already really beautiful like that, right?
oh, thank you.
But it's really interesting when you posted that and revealed that.
Well, what, let me ask you something. What do you think? Because I guarantee most of the girls there took around 2 hours, if not more. Probably more, I would say, if I had to bet my money on it. But my question to you is, what do you think we do in that 2 hours?
What do
Why do you
you?
why do you think it takes that long?
Well, all I can think of is like makeup, right? Foundation, you put the makeup on, mascara, you've got the hair to do. You've got to put the dress on, make sure the dress looks nice. And I think that could take 2 hours. Yeah. Am I right or wrong?
You're partly right, I'd say. So I'm including the shower
Right.
process, and girls have different versions of showers. Did you
Uh-huh.
know that?
Well, my roommate, and a few years ago, he takes an hour in the shower in morning and night. So I can believe that.
Yeah. So the shower time, then you've got the drying time, the creaming time, because you got to be soft, right?
Right.
Just in
Right.
case someone touches your
Just
arm.
in case someone touches you at the event.
Yeah,
I hope
we
nobody
have to think
touched you at the
about
event.
that. We have to think about that.
Yeah.
And then it's like the makeup, the hair, the outfit, and then finding the right accessories to go with the outfit, the right shoes.
Oh, so you don't have
I'm
that plan before then, the
oh,
accessories?
I didn't.
All right, okay. But the funny thing is, like, I saw your dress. You also posted another post where you had this dress that you
Yeah.
wore during COVID, and then, but you already planned you were going to wear that dress. And let's maybe segue into that then. So, what was my question again? It was, yeah, can you talk about your transformation? Like, you posted a photo that you had put on maybe a bit of weight during COVID. It was a real crazy
Mm.
photo because I was shocked at the transformation. Like, it was like a few years ago, and then a year later, you were like just stunning and lost all that weight. Like, I mean, can you go over that process, that journey? Like, how did you lose all that weight? Like, and was that dress like a motivation for you to get into that dress in in 1 year?
A little bit, yeah. So it wasn't like I said in my post, for people that didn't see it, it was a before and after from 2020 to 2023, with 3 years gap. And in my post, I also mentioned that it I wanted to have a transformation, but it wasn't primarily because of like my appearance. It was more like a mental transformation I wanted to do. And some of the things I did was doing a little bit of reprogramming of my mind, of limiting beliefs, all of that, kind of a bit like epigenetics. Um, and thinking back to things that are holding me back. So, any kind of fears I have, any kind of deep rooted traumas that I haven't processed. And there were quite a few.
Right.
So,
I think it all came up
but
during COVID, right?
yeah, it was such a bad time. I did not deal with it properly at all. It was so bad. And obviously, I did gain weight as well. So the weight gain was also an issue because I have a history of eating disorders in the past. So I needed to kind of think about how to go about being healthier as well. So just, clean eating. I feel like everyone knows this information. The hard part is more about applying it.
Yeah.
So my advice would be just to take baby steps, and it was the smallest steps possible. So literally integrating like, I don't know, like a small bowl of oats and then keeping everything else the same. And then doing that for months and then maybe integrating something else. And yeah, it took 3 years, but like you said, I've become stunning now, so it works.
That's amazing. Small steps and then integrating it because everyone's taking such big steps. That makes a lot of sense. I actually saw you post a photo you were eating like a Nando's, right? But you also treat yourself sometimes as well, right?
A lot of the times. So that's another thing as well, that something that really helped me maintain the weight, because I feel like that's half the battle after losing weight, is that it's not so much about what you eat, it's about calorie intake. So the Nando's meal was a whole bowl of chips, chicken, half a chicken, coleslaw, which can be a lot of calories for one meal, but I didn't have anything that much during the day. So I guess you could say I have one big meal a day or two moderate sized meals a day. So it keeps my calories low.
All right, calorie restriction. So just make sure you eat, maybe a couple meals a day, keeping the calories low. So that actually makes a lot of sense. Very smart.
But I'm not a nutritionist, so please don't take my advice on, on nutrition, whoever's watching this.
It's interesting just to hear how you did it, how you made that transformation. And obviously, you did very well. Um, so let's see here. I was going to ask you, so how, for some people some girls watching, maybe they want to get into fashion modeling, like, would you recommend it and how competitive is it, would you say, for a girl try to get into it today?
Mm, I've been thinking about this question for a very long time now because a couple of people have actually asked me the same question. I would say I don't think it's as competitive as people think. I think the agencies that you're trying to get signed to are very selective. So there's a difference between competition and just selectiveness, if that makes sense. Um, you could have a million girls trying to get signed to this one agency, or you could have 10 girls trying to get signed to this one agency. But that agency is looking for a very specific look, a very specific type of girl, and a specific personality. So in order for you to be that person, it's the probability is obviously not as high. But that's why they say you need to find the right agency for you. So I think it's a lot about understanding the industry, which is something I learned very late. I wish someone had told me this like earlier, would have saved me so much headache. But it's about understanding the industry, knowing what the agencies are looking for. To any girl wanting to get into the industry, I would say be as authentically you as possible, because if you try and imitate someone else, it's not going to work and you're going to get found out. So be yourself, know what you bring to the table, add value, know what that value is, and then market it on social media.
Yeah, social media is so big. Like people are just not taking advantage of marketing themselves. I feel you don't know how much people can reach, through social media, and they neglect it. But this is just where the world is going, it seems. What was I going to say? I was going to say it's a little bit controversial, I think, but I know some girls who, they were trying really hard to break into modeling, but they weren't really doing, getting anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Weren't making much money, and they end up doing, OnlyFans. I'm sure you're familiar with that. And
Definitely.
so that's kind of like going to the dark side, right? And then they start making crazy amounts of money from OnlyFans. So what's your thoughts of these models? A lot of them are going into OnlyFans because it's just, they feel it's so hard to break into the modeling industry.
Well, firstly, I would applaud their passion for modeling, because in a way they still haven't given up. So credit to you for keeping your dreams alive. I'm not one to judge. I will never judge anyone regardless of what you do. I have friends from different backgrounds, like, some of them have done some questionable things, and that is up to you. So for the OnlyFans girls, I would say it's good as long as you understand what you're getting into, and knowing that the material you post is forever going to be online. So if you understand the consequences of your actions, then go crazy, have fun. But then the last thing I want is for them to, I don't know, 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line, have kids, and then be so regretful of what they've done, and then go into this, massive mental breakdown. And that does happen. So that's really sad.
Yeah, I could see how that could happen. I mean, like, there's a lot of discussion about it. Like, some discussion out there is that if you did OnlyFans, then it might be harder to find a good husband. Like a man who's might be hard for him to bring you to his family. Like even my Asian family is quite traditional to bring into my Asian mom and dad. Do a bit weirded out. But and then there's some people who say that in the future, like 10 years later, nobody's gonna care, right? You might even have a president, who's a woman and who's done OnlyFans before. Who knows? Like, but it's interesting to hear your perspective on that. But at least I know at least my parents may not be too keen on it. But
What's your perspective? Can I ask?
my perspective. Well, this is your
Yeah.
interview.
No, if it's not too conscious, I'm just so curious, because I know, because we are from an Asian background, so I know that it can be quite taboo in our culture.
I mean, you have to do what you have to do sometimes. If you're not making money from trying to get this modeling, then there's unless the girl wants to work in McDonald's or something, like I think OnlyFans is probably the way to go. They make so much money from it, right? So
Yeah.
you can't blame them for doing that. And so I don't have any judgment about it. People just do what they have to do. They do their best, and OnlyFans
Would
is
you
like it can lead them
sorry,
to.
go on.
Yeah, sorry, what were you going to say?
No, I'm sorry I interrupted. I was just gonna say, would you have an issue with your girlfriend doing OnlyFans?
Oh, that's a tough question. I mean, if it was for a long-term relationship, it would be hard for me to bring her to my parents, my Asian
Mm,
tradition parents, is what I can say. Well, if she's done it with if she's done the OnlyFans with guys, like boy girl stuff, like that would be an
hmm.
issue for sure, I think. And she posts it on OnlyFans. But if she just does like modeling on OnlyFans, then that might be okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being so open about it.
Okay, so let's ask. There's another question I wanted to ask you. So you are very into female empowerment. What in your opinion is female empowerment?
I think female empowerment is anything that makes you feel powerful, confident, strong, and anything that provides you tools to be able to be yourself. And I think in nowadays, it's one of the hardest things for people to do is to be themselves. As simple as it sounds, a lot of people just cannot do this. And so that's why you always see on Instagram or social media, it's always promoting, authenticity and how to be more confident. And it's just sad to see that a lot of people do struggle with this. And I myself have struggled with it in the past as well. Thankfully, I don't anymore.
And it sounds like you're wanting to also help others with female empowerment and maybe even coach other girls in the areas. Is that correct?
I would love to do that. Yeah.
And you also have a lot of experience with the modeling industry. You can also help coach girls who want to break into it as well. So I think that's very an interesting path as well. Um, I think the female empowerment thing, there's a cascading effect of that in society where women they all get like high paying jobs and they can look after themselves, right? And then a
Hmm.
lot of guys are just falling by the wayside. And women's standards, as they get educated, they get high paying jobs. Their standards become higher, and many men, they're just not up to their standards anymore. And so and it ends up being like these women that have this high standards. They all chase maybe like the small percentage of men who are their standard. I mean, do you think that's an
Mm.
issue? Because in the past, there wasn't female empowerment really, and girls were quite traditional. They'd stay at home, the man would make the money. So there's this thing where there's a wee switch, I guess. There's a bit of an things have changed. And
Hmm.
do you see that yourself? I mean, like, I feel like a lot of women have very high standards these days, and a lot of
Hmm.
guys just falling by the wayside. And there are statistics that show that 30% in America under the age of 30 have had zero sexual partners. Like that's a recent study that was done. And
Yeah.
a lot of men are getting neglected. And that's how the Andrew Tate comes up and empowers all these men. So do you have any thoughts on that?
I have so many thoughts on this. Wow, where do I start? Ah, so I think that I see female empowerment as being different to being picky with men. I really do see that as two different things, even though there is a bit of an overlap. So being empowered, so I consider myself to be empowered, right? And by that, I mean, I know what I want. I'm quite strong mentally. I'm confident and I feel powerful inside within myself without having to depend on anything external. So that's how I define being empowered. Now, like, of course, as a byproduct, because I've worked so much on myself and these things are built and developed over time, you want someone to be able to match your mindset and your frequency, I guess. And so I guess in that sense, you would be a little bit picky, but I think it's being taken a bit too far sometimes where some women are, being fussy about things that have it's nothing to do with empowerment. They're just very particular about what kind of guy they want. So for example, you hear some girls saying, I want a guy to make more than six figures a
Yep.
year.
6 foot
I
has to be 6 foot.
right, and I don't think that's fair. But I'm not going to judge them. But I don't think that's anything to do with empowerment. Personally, I think they're just very like picky and they want that particular guy, and I don't know how likely it is for them to find that, like a 6 foot, six-figure salary,
It's like 1% of men,
whatever.
maybe less than 1% of men.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So yeah, it can be sensible and it can be ridiculous.
Yes. It's very interesting, I guess, to make sure that you define what female empowerment is and a healthy way around it, I guess. Um, so I have another controversial question.
Oh, these are all so
Yeah.
so deep and
So
controversial.
so we'll get there. So do you think that there's a possibility,
Ooh,
during there was a forced lockdown, and obviously I know all my friends, they
sorry, 1 second. I'm just gonna balance. Okay, balance. Okay, sorry, I'm so sorry. Say that
oh,
one
actually
more
I
time.
think we need to join back in. So we've got fat. I didn't upgrade this actually. Just come back in.
Okay,
Just come back in. I just got a couple more questions. Yeah.
okay.
Okay, let me record. Yeah, I can edit out anything as well, so it doesn't really, it's fine. I was gonna ask you a really controversial question. So you mentioned, Mayya,
Yes.
you put on weight during COVID, and also a lot of my friends put on a lot of weight as well. And I think a lot of people had a lot of issues psychologically, physically. Do you think that there's a possibility from the lockdown, the ensuing obesity, inactivity, psychological impact, all the rescheduled surgeries, misdiagnosis? Do you think that may have actually caused more death than the actual COVID itself in the short term?
Okay. I'm not a doctor, but just from thinking about it, I would say it's caused a lot of harm, definitely, because like you said, it's not just physical disease, it's also mental health issues, which can cause so many more problems. So, you've got depression, anxiety that's being exacerbated because people aren't socializing, people aren't going outside. And I think there is data somewhere that it did increase during that time. And then obviously the byproducts is weight gain, like you said, and all of that stuff. So I think it's definitely caused a lot of harm.
Uh-huh. A lot of some of my friends still haven't been able to lose the weight that they gained during COVID, and it's I know that some friends have died of heart attacks, and
Oh
it's
my God.
yeah,
I'm sorry to hear that. It is really hard. It's really
yeah,
hard. I can tell you firsthand. Once you put on that weight, it is
it's hard to get
so
off.
bloody
Yeah,
hard. It's so bloody hard to get
not for
off.
you though, not for you.
Oh, you have no idea. I've shed many tears
Oh,
behind closed doors.
it's worth it though. Absolutely, it's amazing. As I said, I was so shocked at that transformation. Let's see. So I think that is all the questions that I think I was just the last one was just you said that you wanted to start a podcast yourself, actually. So can you explain the reason behind that, about why you wanted to start a podcast, what it would be about?
I've always wanted to do a podcast. I just think it's such a great thing. And people don't know this, but when the phenomena of podcasting first came out, I wanted to do it years ago back then, but I just kept putting it off. I kept procrastinating. I think it's such a cool way to connect with people, and I'm a big fan of connection, which is something I one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about modeling, because when people see my photographs, I don't want them to see pretty. I don't want them to see hot. I want them to see a story that I'm trying to tell. And that's really important for me to tell people that. Like, I want you to feel the vibes. I want you to feel the emotion, hear the story that I'm trying to tell. And then ultimately we can connect with one another more and relate to one another more. So, podcasts is just another way for me to connect and tell
Mhm.
stories. And I think we all have such interesting stories that I want to explore. And I'm so freaking excited to ask you so many questions because you seem so interesting as well.
I'm afraid.
So
I'm
yeah.
scared.
Don't be scared.
What's the story you want to convey with your modeling?
I want to convey all the stories of my life. I think I've experienced quite a lot, good and bad. And I think that a lot of our stories are not unique to us. I think we share a lot of the same problems and heartache and tragedies. And I think people really appreciate knowing that they're not alone. I think there's a lot of power in that, like knowing that whatever you're going through right now, it could be devastating in that moment. But then when you switch on your phone and you see that someone else has gone through the exact same thing, it offers a kind of relief. And I think
Yeah.
it would make a lot of people feel better.
I think especially with um, you know, with your background, your ethnicity, you'd also inspire, you'd be a role model for other girls who are of the same
Hopefully.
color.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Um, that's amazing. So I think I would be excited. Yeah, I'm excited to see you start that and see your first guests and things like that.
Well, you're my first guest,
I
so
mean,
you'll forever be known as like the first guest. That's so special.
we actually got me to start it because I was always thinking of it, and then I told you I was going to do it, and then you're like, "Oh, how about like let's do it?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know."
So I kind of like positively push you into this?
You pushed me into it, yeah, and I'm like,
Oh,
I was thinking
amazing.
of doing it, and like, oh, let's just do it, So this
Oh,
is
see. You meet people for a reason, I'm telling you,
well, because you
you
sent me a
know?
screenshot and you said, "Oh, I was literally talking about this 30 minutes ago," and I'm like, oh, "No, this is someone's telling me to do it."
I think it's a sign. I think, we were both kind of putting it off and procrastinating. So this is like the universe's way of saying like, get off your butts and
Yeah,
do something. Yeah.
someone to hear the stories, right? Because I'm representing like the Asians who are, the Chinese who are born overseas, and you similarly. So I think a lot of people can resonate with us.
Mm,
That's all the
that's what
questions.
makes it so cool.
Yes, that's all the questions from me, Maya. I think
Hmm.
answered it really well, and it's very interesting. There's some that people would be very interested to hear. I think I was just cutting them into like reels. Like obviously, maybe like if possible, I'll upload like most of it on YouTube and then cut it into reels and then put that on Instagram or obviously I'll check with you first if you're okay with that with the clips and stuff but I think
That
like
would be great.
don't digest things unless they're like short form reels.
Yeah. Yeah. I think short form is a lot better to
Yeah,
consume. How short is short?
1 minute. Like most reels, the maximum reel in Instagram is 90 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but usually they're like a minute-ish, and that just grabs people's attentions. Like reels, right, are just so popular now. Long form content, people just don't have the attention span for it. The goldfish analogy, how we don't have our attention span
I
is just
know. Unless you're Joe Rogan, then people don't have goldfish span anymore because, but he's kind of built a name for himself and
built up. So I think
yeah.
interest, like once you've built up like a following, people love your stuff. They want to learn more about it. Where the short form gets their attention, gets them into your world, and then they want to look at more stuff. And well, that's interesting. I want to listen to the whole interview. So it kind of all starts with the short form getting that attention.
Yeah. So I think like even with me, um obviously I'm gonna see how you go about it because I think you've done some research. But I think what I was planning to do was having the short form clips and then still uploading the full version as well, just in case someone is interested
Yeah.
in. watching all of that, maybe putting it on YouTube. Are you going to create a new YouTube channel?
I will create a YouTube channel. What I found recently is Facebook Shorts are working well. Like I do affiliate
Hmm.
marketing and I do affiliate marketing for other people. And one person I'm doing it for, I am posting videos of shorts on Facebook and they're getting a lot of views. You know, Facebook's pushing shorts and reels and stuff. And if you have like 5,000 followers on your page and you have at least 6,000 minutes watched on your reels, you can monetize that. And this person's account I'm managing is actually getting money from this every month because a lot of people are watching his reels. So
Is it kind of like a good amount?
well, I've only been doing it for like 3 months, 2 months even. No, well, I've been doing it since because it takes a while to build your 6,000 followers, and they'd only allow you to monetize after 6,000 followers. So it's like £500 a month, which is quite good for us. I don't even do much. I just post his videos, like, and it's growing. It's literally growing. So I can only imagine what it could grow to.
That's pretty good. 500 is pretty good.
But that's just after I only started monetizing it 2 or 3 months ago. 2 months ago, actually. And because you can only monetize it after a certain following, and after 2 months, 500 bucks. I mean, give it a year, that could be like 5,000, I think.
That's crazy. Oh my God, it's getting me even more excited to do this. I mean, obviously you're into the marketing side of things. I don't have a clue, but like
It,
if you can make money, that's
like on YouTube, you could do ads on your videos, right? And if you have a lot of people viewing your videos, then you can monetize it. But it just takes a while to build a following. That it just takes a while to get attraction
I
because
know that's the boring part, right?
it's boring.
The boring part is just doing the groundwork at the beginning. It's like, oh, even when I started modeling, it was like the most boring, crappiest thing ever.
No,
Just
I
trying
like.
to make a name for yourself.
I mean, I like having done this interview. I actually enjoyed it, and I learned a few things as well. So I think you just have to enjoy it and just keep going. Really.
Oh, you did enjoy it. Are you just saying it because it's still recording?
Oh no, I didn't even realize. No, I did enjoy it. So I enjoyed listening to your answers. Do you want to ask me some questions before we've probably got like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and I can send you the recording, or what do you want? Do you want to sleep?
Um, no, I don't want to sleep. Don't say the S word around me.
Oh, great. Record.
Um,
Your model lifestyle is to sleep at 4 a.m. and wake up at 10 a.m. Is that right?
I'm giving them a bad rep. I'm not gonna call it a model lifestyle, it's just my lifestyle.
Just your lifestyle.
So I'm sure they're very responsible. I'm sure there are a lot more, I don't know, like sleeping at better times than me. So I'm not gonna say it's the model lifestyle,
It's
but
not a part of it, right? You don't have to. Okay.
it's optional.
Actually, another thing I want to ask you that came up, like, did you ever come across in your career like drugs, cocaine, and things like that? Were you ever tempted if you did?
Oh, I have heard of those things. I'm actually waiting. I'm actually waiting to come across like no, because I'm approaching it with such a like a curious kind of like way. Like I have heard the rumors, as has everyone else, and I am so excited to be invited to a party and there's just like I don't know, like drugs everywhere. Not that I'm going to take any. I just want to see if it's real. But I've not personally witnessed it. I think it's something like a secret club or something that I'm not a part of at
All
the
right.
moment.
You've not been offered drugs in your career and been
Unfortunately, not.
no, okay. That's weird because I think we just have this perception because like Kate Moss, right? Modeling and then all these drugs, but I guess it's not.
No, no, no. I think there is, but they are like top level. So I'm not top level.
All right.
I work like if this is top level, I'm probably like hovering in the middle, you know?
Yeah.
So probably if I get a bit higher, we can you can ask me this question again. And I'll be like, yeah, I'm on drugs right now.
Well, you're so happy right now. It almost seems like you're in drugs. You're on, I think.
I'm just loving this. It's so fun.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm enjoying it. So that's the last question. Do you want to ask me stuff?
Definitely.
Okay.
I won't ask you everything. I'm just gonna just some things maybe like related to what you've asked me.
Okay.
So I will say one thing I want to ask you is how was the pandemic for you? And was there anything, I don't know, maybe very negative that you experienced that you feel like you could advise people on if it's not too vulnerable? Or
Uh,
maybe something you've witnessed someone else go through?
how is it for me? So I actually work online. I do a lot of work online, like affiliate marketing and advertising, Facebook advertising. So during that period, it was actually really, it was actually really good for me because, people were buying stuff online, and that's exactly what I do. So they were just buying loads and loads of stuff, and I made quite a bit of money from during that period because I was selling stuff online and people were at home. They were just shopping online, so they just bought loads of stuff on because they had nothing else to do. Uh,
Yeah.
so I spent a lot of time doing that, but because I was also quite in lockdown, I maybe was also doing got caught into a little bit of gambling online. So gambling online, that was my vice during the time
Mm-hmm.
to kind of escape, I guess. So I'm not doing that anymore, but during that time I was probably gambling and then it wasn't good.
But
On
you got out of it, right? So that's really impressive.
I actually did some gambling maybe like a year ago, a year ago. It's kind of hard. I'm still maybe working on it, but I haven't done it for a year now, so that's good. But other than that,
That's really good. Yeah.
yes, I was also doing home workouts. I had a coach at the time online, and he would give me like a home workout that I would do at home. And 4 days a week, I would be working out with. I would have rice bags,
Oh my gosh.
and like bottles of water, doing like lifting. No, just working out at home.
Did you not know about dumbbells or you just wanted to pick up rice bags?
I had dumbbells, but they weren't heavy enough because I've been working
Oh, okay.
well, a few years at this point, and I wasn't getting the dumbbells weren't heavy enough, so I had to use like more stuff, more and more stuff. So I put on the backpack with water in it, with rice in it, like just try to increase the weight basically. And the dumbbells at that time, try to buy them were like 10 times the price.
Yeah, they were because people were trying to work out. I love that as a thing. You were just like, oh, I was so strong, Maya, that like dumbbells have got nothing on me. Like
No, I
that's basically what you're saying.
wasn't
The
prepared to
pa
have any weights. Yeah.
well, the pandemic sounds like it was a really positive experience for you. So I'm kind of jealous, but I'm also so happy that it was and it worked out for your business as well because of what you do.
Yeah, actually, because I had my own flat at the time, and the pandemic happened. I actually, went and moved and lived with my parents during that time, and it was weird because during that time I bonded with my parents, because otherwise I would have not have done that. I would have lived by myself in my flat, went to work, but during the period it was probably a bit lonely during that time, and I went to live with my parents. They have a house, and I stayed with them for like that period, and it was really nice actually, living with them and
Oh,
the parents. When I think a lot of us, like, we're working so hard, we don't have time to spend with parents, we neglect
yeah.
that part, and during the pandemic I maybe got a bit closer to them.
That's so sweet. Families always, you only get one family, right? So
Yes.
I'm sure they really appreciated that. They're like, oh, we got our baby back.
Yeah, they were really, I think they really wanted me to go because they'd set everything up. Like, there's a bed here for you, there's your old stuff is here, whatever.
Oh, oh my gosh, I'm gonna cry. That's so sweet. Are they like, I guess, like, are your parents like my parents? Like, do they love you and grow you at the same time? Like,
Very
why
clingy.
have you, yeah, like, when are you gonna have kids? Do you ever get that?
Yeah, all the time. My brother is 4 years older than me, and he is also not married or have kids. Um, and they just want grandkids, and they're not getting
Yeah,
any. We're in
I
our
think it,
30s. I'm in my early 30s. My brother's 4 years. Um, I think I mean, my dad had my brother at 21 years old. Um,
yeah, same,
this generation
same.
have babies.
I think we're all going through the same experience at this point. Like, I get that every single day of my life, and it's doing my head in. But like you said, like, we've got things to do, we've got a life to live.
And because of the inflation, right? Our parents bought this house like for so much less than what we need to. It's harder. I feel like it's harder for us, but also with online dating, all the we feel like we don't want to settle down, or at least I don't kind of want to settle down. I feel like
Uh, That statement by itself, and this is just me, gives me so much trauma. Just hearing a guy say that I don't want to settle down, because it's like, why? Because I guess it's like a maybe a female thing, that where we're always looking for a guy that wants to settle down, and
that.
something you hear is he's not ready yet, and you're like, when are you going to be ready?
Did you feel that way when you were like 5 years ago as well? Like, when are you going to settle down, or did you want to settle down 5 years ago? I don't know.
Um, Not 5 years ago I didn't, but now I do.
Right.
Yeah. So it's kind of like you said, the challenges of dating, finding someone. Oh
That's
my gosh. If you have any tips on what you do to find girls, please let me know, because I am lost.
good. What you
I
need.
hate I hate the dating scene with a passion. It is so horrible. And so I don't even know where to find someone, because I'm not attracted to male models, right? So I can't even find them at work. So I just don't know.
Maya,
No idea.
Maya, so this video is going out, so people are messaging. So where can they find you?
If you like this interview, call
Message
me.
her Instagram, whether she wants to share her Instagram or not. I don't know.
Oh my God, can you imagine? Let me just wait to see what the comments are. If they're negative, don't share my Instagram. But if they're positive, then go for it.
So what
But
can I
yeah.
go for, Maya?
Sorry?
What kind of guy what's your type of guy, or what kind of guy do you go for? Do your parents want you to go with, the same ethnicity, or do you like white men?
So my parents don't get a say in the kind of guy that I like, which is amazing, because, we don't even share the same taste in food. So why would we share the same taste in men? So I like, I guess the number one thing that I look for is intelligence, which is not usually the first thing you're going to hear from a model. Um, it's usually like, oh yeah, I want six packs. And I'm like, no, sorry, I'm not too fussed about the six packs, but definitely someone who can hold a conversation. That is so important for me. Intelligence, a strong educational background, probably because I've got that. And so yeah, I find that it's really obvious to know, like, and it's really uncomfortable sometimes when you're trying to talk to someone and you're just not mentally compatible.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. So it's really important. So that's really important. And then obviously the normal stuff like sense of humor.
Six
Um,
six figures a year.
Yeah, a millionaire, that'd be great. No, it's not compulsory. He doesn't need to be a millionaire, but look, I'm not gonna say no. You know, if a billionaire comes along and he's like, Maya, I saw your interview and you know, what's up? I'm
What's
not
up?
gonna say no. But
Ask what race the person is.
no, I'm not bothered about that.
Because my parents, they obviously want Chinese girl. I have a Chinese girlfriend or a wife. My last
Hmm.
was Eastern European, and she was very white basically, and my parents did not like that. And
But
but
would that affect whether you commit to a person
I
based
don't.
on whether you're
But it's just I think my parents would just accept it, but they made clear that they did not like that. They did not want that, but they would accept it anyway if that is what I wanted. Yeah,
well, that's good enough, right?
good
They'll
enough.
forgive you. They'll forgive you. Oh wow. So what's your type? I
My
love that this is slowly turning into one of those gossipy like relationship type podcasts. They are the most entertaining, I swear to God.
all right. Do you think this is a good question to ask though? I don't know if people are interested in this.
Um, I mean, you're like the boss, so you can do whatever you want. I'm interested, but
Okay, I'll ask.
if you don't want to answer that, then
Yeah, that's cool. So I'm into, for some reason, I'm into Eastern European girls for some reason. I find that they're quite feminine and they're quite traditional for some reason. Um, I don't know, like I feel like in Western countries, at least, women are very masculine. Hard, I don't know. I feel
yeah,
like very, as you said, as we discussed earlier, they're very empowered and they're quite masculine. Like I kind of just want a girl I take care of, right? Someone traditional.
yeah,
But this
I
movement
agree.
and femininity and the woman's becoming the man, right? And I prefer the more feminine girl, and I find that
Yeah,
from Eastern Europe, they're quite feminine.
yeah, I completely understand that, and I oh I don't know whether I want to admit to this. We could probably cut it out,
Yeah.
but like um I'm a big fan of tradition and gender roles and man and woman and just how it used to be. But you know, obviously the girls will come after me if I say that. Being the face of empowerment, they'll be like, how can you submit to a man? And I'm like, I like it.
Depends on the definition of empowerment, right? As we discussed.
Yeah. And you know, like honestly, I can happily be submissive and still be empowered. Like I can actually do that and I have been doing that. So I really don't see a problem with that at all. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's funny because a lot of my friends who are Chinese, actually not all of them. I think most of them end up marrying Chinese as well. Whether that's at least it's quite rare for a Chinese to marry a other race, I feel.
Hmm.
And I don't know why, but I think if you are Chinese and Chinese do have same culture, we can get along
Hmm.
well culturally. We have the same cultural upbringing, and that kind of has a factor into it. We have
Hmm.
the same Chinese foods, same traditions, and that might be a factor in it. But for some reason, for me, and I do see that cultural integration, no, resonance, compatibility.
Hmm.
But for some reason, I'm just not attracted to Chinese. I don't know why. Maybe because of the way I was born in Scotland, in the UK, and
Hmm.
the advertisements, all the movies were all whitewashed, and maybe that's
Yeah,
yeah,
it could be. That's really, really interesting, actually. And I think a lot of people would be able to relate to you on that. Like there's such a stigma against going outside of your culture and
Yeah.
ethnicity. So like look at you. You're revolutionizing the whole space. You're making people feel like it's okay
Hey,
to
yeah.
step outside their cultures and date
And
outside.
white baby,
I
mixed breed babies are apparently the cutest babies.
oh 100%. 100%. Like I would happily go outside my culture. I actually want to. So, you know, all the power to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think
So we've got 8 minutes left, Maya. What other questions do you have?
let me just my hand is hurt.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, all this time. You've been holding it.
Yeah. And then I got a cramp in my wrist. Okay. I'm just gonna keep holding it. Um, let's see. I'm thinking back to the questions that you asked me because whilst you were asking me the questions, there were some things I was curious about. Um, so you did the empowerment, the modeling. Oh yeah. So how was the I really want to know this. So like obviously you're not part of the fashion world and maybe the entertainment world. How did you get invited to the charity show and the red carpet event and not being part of that industry? How was that experience for you? Being surrounded by everyone like influencers and models, was that strange?
Um, I don't. I think it was a bit strange. I was maybe a bit nervous to start with, but
Hmm.
eventually got into it, and everybody was so friendly, and we were making these funny stories with like the filters with the Instagram stories, and everyone was just very friendly, and that kind of nervousness kind of went away. But the I was helping out with content. I helped out with the invitations because I'm friends with one of the organizers, Steve. And
Hmm.
uh, me and Steve, we create content together. Like we take photos of each other, and or we'd he- I you know we were both into photography, right? So I think Steve did a few photo shoots for other girls, models and stuff.
Yeah.
And I've always had a passion for photography, and we just kind of met through that, and we started creating content together. And he asked me if I wanted to help out with the events, or maybe actually I said he told me he had an event coming up, and he asked me if I was going, and I said yeah, I might check it out. And then I thought, would you want me to help out? Like, do you want me to maybe take some content, take some stories, do some photos? And that's just what I ended up doing. I also helped him with the invitations as well. And it was quite interesting to see how that all worked because maybe I want to do something like that in Scotland and
Yeah.
party events and photo shoots and things like that.
So you're also a photographer?
Yeah, yeah. So I did my uncle gave me my first camera maybe like 15 years ago. And I was playing about with it. I took some photography courses. Yeah, so it's one of my passions.
Oh, wow. So do you do fashion photography or is it more like environment?
More like environment, landscape, real estate. Uh, I do some portraits as well. I have done portraits, but mostly of landscape. Yeah.
Ah, okay. And the content creation, where can we see that and support?
Well, mostly
Is it your own channel or is it for other brands and other companies?
other brands, companies, and also yeah, on my own Instagram page, you obviously see a lot of content on there. Me posting photos on there.
I have seen that, yeah. I will say, like, yeah, it's so interesting. It's definitely different and it's so unique. And the I have no idea how you found these backgrounds. I honestly thought it was AI generated.
Oh,
Is it
really?
real? Are
Um,
they real?
Yeah. It obviously looks because of the way I edit it. I edit the photos as well, so I try to make them pop. I try to make them look good. So they might look different, but I try my best to make it attention grabbing because in this world online, you kind of have to stand out and grab attention.
Yeah.
And
Well, it definitely grabs your attention.
it's all about just working on personal branding, right? So I'm trying to build my own brands, my own podcast, and this is all part of it.
Have you thought of the name for your
Uh,
podcast?
oh, just John Owley podcast. John Owley, because Owley is the name of my eyewear. So I have an eyewear brand called Owley
Oh,
Eye.
nice.
Yeah. So that's why my name's John Owley.
You say that so blasé. It's like saying I had eggs for breakfast. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, I have my own eyewear company. I'm also a photographer. I'm also a marketer. Like, do you do everything? Do you
Um,
fly?
sorry.
I'm joking. I was gonna say, do you also fly? Because you feel it feels like you do everything, right? You're just so talented.
I've always been very curious. Like I ask a lot of questions. I always want to learn so many things and see what works. So I was actually originally trained as an optometrist, and I trained for 8 years in that. And I
And
did
which uni did you
uh,
go to?
Glasgow Caledonia University in Scotland. It was the only uni that did optometry with the eyes. So
Mm-hmm.
I can prescribe medicines for the eyes, prescribe glasses, everything to do with eyes I can do, except obviously we can't do surgery. We have to refer that to an eye surgeon.
Yeah.
Um, that kind of brought together I also did, obviously I did the online marketing and I merged that with an eyewear brand and I sell glasses online now. So that all kind of came together. And it's actually good to have all these skills and it's all about learning new skills and bringing them together. That makes you unique.
Yeah. I definitely agree to that, relate to that. And that's why I kind of like try and do different things as well. So I've got like the modeling, the acting, the teaching, the beauty competitions, probably like 5 things going on at once. But they're still kind of under the creative-ish umbrella, I guess. But I feel like we're all creative inside. Like even that creating your own eyewear brand, that's quite creative. And
Yeah. It's very interesting. It's hard work actually building a brand. I'm still working on it, but I'm excited about it and I'm putting things together. Yeah.
oh,
But
you should be so proud of yourself.
thank you.
I'm honored to be speaking with you today. So thank you for having me.
Honored to be speaking with you. But I think your hand is getting sore, so I think maybe we can end it and I'll send you the recordings and you can
Hmm.
use it if you want. And I think as I said, I might cut into reels and put captions on it and see how that turns out.
Yeah. I'm glad I helped and I hope it's usable and yeah. I
Yeah.
hope you get loads and loads of views.
At the start, probably 0 views. It'll probably take a, but let's see. Yeah.
Oh well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye bye.